Good morning.
Hey, what's up good people, it's YellowMotion here and welcome to a new Devil May Cry 5 video. As you may know, I recently covered and talked about V and his gameplay from the recent TGA trailer, pretty much breaking down the trailer of what we saw with Dante and Nero, but also talking in depth about V's gameplay and his fight style, and also how he fights with his demons and how he uses them in battle. Now this was all pretty much based on what we saw in the trailer without much defining info, but now we also got some brand new info to V's gameplay, his demons, his book, and his tattoos that will give a more in-depth look at V as a character and his playstyle. So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it and share you my thoughts on it as well. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to keep up to date with more DMC5 content. Alright, without further ado, let's get right into it.
This is a trial from the heavens above.
I also still recommend to watch my previous video if you haven't done so regarding what I had to say about V, as this video is a follow-up to that. Also, besides this new trailer of V, we also got a new interview with the developers of DMC5 from the famous Japanese Famitsu magazine, where the devs themselves shared some great and insightful info about V and his demons and his gameplay. And with that, I want to give a shout out to the DMC5 Info Twitter account for making a very accurate English translation possible for the community, as it has helped me to incorporate the info in this video as well. So let's start with a quick sum up on V. As you already know, V is the third playable character of DMC5, and in terms of combat, it's pretty much non-existent for V, as he himself doesn't primarily fight. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have weapons, as V's primary weapons are a silver cane that he uses to kill demons with it, and he has a special book with poems in it that has the letter V on its cover. And besides his cane and his book, V also has a third ability, as he's able to summon demons to fight on his behalf. His familiars, being the Thunderbird Griffon, that is used for long-range attacks, the shape-shifting Black Panther Shadow, that is used for close-range attacks, and the third one is the big massive brute force Nightmare, that can deal insane massive damage to hordes of demons and take on bosses on his size. And from all of those three, Griffon is the only demon that speaks the human language, as he's the translator for the other two, Shadow and Nightmare. And as I mentioned in my previous video, I thought that V's tattoos were quite special and very important, as I thought they were a visual cue in gameplay when V's summoning his demons, such as Griffon and Shadow, and even pointing out that V's tattoo pattern also appeared on Shadow when he's summoned, and stating that it's related to the powers that V has. But now we know exactly what V's tattoos are meant for, as the devs themselves have said and confirmed that V's familiars are stored in the tattoos that V has on his entire body. So the ink that comes off V's body, arms, and even his hair are his demons. So when he's summoning them, the corresponding tattoo for each demon will start to dissolve and disappear. But when only Nightmare is summoned, not only do the remaining tattoos disappear, but the black ink on V's hair starts to dissolve and disappear as well. Meaning that V originally has white hair and no tattoos at all on his body, as that's all been confirmed by the devs themselves. So initially one would think, just like myself, that V's hair was black that turned white when summoning Nightmare and pretty much activating his Devil Trigger. Well, he does use his Devil Trigger gauge to summon Nightmare, but his hair doesn't turn white. Simply the black ink that represents Nightmare comes off V's natural white hair. So it seems that there has been some kind of pact going on with V and his demons that turns his hair to black and covers his entire body in black tattoos. So now that we know that V has no tattoos and his hair is originally white, let's move on to his gameplay. As you already may know, V is very unique in his gameplay and playstyle compared to Dante and Nero, and it seems that it's more trickier as well, since you're always on the offensive side as V and must let your demons do the fighting and do the damage for you, while you keep an eye out on V not to get hurt, as when V's demons do the damage and the enemies are close to death, they will turn into a violet color palette, visually telling you as the player and to V himself that it's time to finish them off with his cane. And since V's familiars cannot and simply won't kill other demons, it's up to V only to put them rest with his finishing blow. And that's pretty much seen in the gameplay, since V does much of the observing and tries to only engage when it's about the time to deliver a final blow with his cane, by throwing it first to the enemy and then warping straight to it. And as seen here, he can also throw multiple canes to multiple enemies at once, taking them all out at once, as that's one of the special attacks of V, which uses his Devil Trigger gauge for that. It's also mentioned by the devs that V himself doesn't have much demonic powers like Dante or Nero, so in combat he can't do things like double jump, as Nero and Dante's do with their air hikes, but instead he must use Griffon for that, to reach places. And V's health is also more human compared to Dante and Nero, so it means that it's much more vulnerable than Nero and Dante, as he can be hurt pretty easily with just the regular attacks of the demons, whereas Dante and Nero would resist them. But it doesn't mean that V isn't a powerful character. After all, the power that lies in V are his demons, but he himself is more human than Dante and Nero. So when you're playing as V, maintaining your distance is the key while his familiars are fighting for you. And as long as V doesn't take any damage, the battle can continue. While V's demons are attacking, V needs to be defending, as he's pretty vulnerable, and only to engage with your finishing moves. As when you take damage, it's the priority of V's demons to quickly come and get you out of it. So as long as V is not close to the demons and on a safe side, you have not much to worry about and let your familiars do the attack and the damage. And that may seem a bit boring at first, since you're not doing a lot with V himself, but you still always need to keep an eye out on the entire battlefield and on V himself, as he can be put in danger. V's familiars can also help him out in combat. For example, when V is attacked, his demons can get him out of there, simply by attacking back, for you to be able to escape and hold your distance, but also quickly evading as an opponent is attacking you. A shadow is doing that for you while he's close by. And when you're cornered or just want to get away, flying away with Griffon is another option. But to do either of this, V must have his familiars close to him or call them back to his position. It's also been confirmed by the devs that V's demons can be upgraded and made stronger with new abilities and attacks over the course of the game. And I assume that one example is that we see that both Griffon and Shadow can work together and pretty much merge into each other to do this special attack, as I imagine this being part of the upgrade as well. So if we take a closer look, we can actually see how V's playstyle and gameplay looks like with his HUD enabled. In the upper left corner, we see V's life bars and his Devil Trigger gauge. Next to it, we see Shadow's life bar and his tattoo symbol, showing that he's currently summoned and active. The other tattoo symbols are also full and active, meaning that V can summon them if he wants to. Fighting with V's demons doesn't mean that they are invulnerable, as they each have their own life bar and can take damage, as when V's familiars take too much damage, they will revert back into a core sphere state on the battlefield. And we can see that each core is representing a color, the red one for Shadow and the blue one for Griffon. Each core is regenerating and refilling, and we can see that being displayed with the tattoos in the upper left corner, until they are full again from red to blue. And once they are fully refilled, Griffon and Shadow are back on the battlefield with their full health bar. It's also worth mentioning that the core state is really similar to how it was in DMC1, and when you fought Shadow with Dante and dealt enough damage that he would go into a similar core state as well, leaving him wide open for you to deal even more damage. And when V's demons are in a core state, they cannot attack and cannot be summoned again for a certain amount of time. And for that, V has to wait until the cores have fully refilled so that they will appear in battle. One way to quickly revive V's familiars is for him to stand close to them, so the closer V is to them, the faster the familiars can be revived. But there are also special ways to revive them, as one way is to summon Nightmare, as that will revive Griffon or Shadow immediately back into the battlefield. But when Nightmare is summoned, he doesn't have a life bar like Griffon and Shadow, as from the moment he's summoned, it will consume your Devil Trigger gauge, meaning you have limited time to fight with him. But at the same time, it's safe to assume that he's pretty much immune to damage and won't be affected by it like Griffon or Shadow, where they both go in a core state. So when V's Devil Trigger gauge meter is empty, Nightmare will simply disappear and his meter has to fill up again in order to summon him back. And it's important to understand that pretty much without your demons, V becomes very vulnerable, and it's important to not be alone. and get your demons back as soon as possible, especially in situations when V is surrounded by many hordes of demons. As mentioned in my previous video, V can also control his demons manually, but Griffon and Shadow can also fight automatically as well. But to do this, it will also use up V's Devil Trigger gauge. So how does V exactly use his Devil Trigger? Well, while it doesn't necessarily physically transform V, it still uses the Devil Trigger gauge in special occasions, such as I mentioned, like V doing a special attack with his multiple canes, or letting Shadow and Griffon fight for you automatically. But one of the most visual occasions is when V is summoning Nightmare, it will use his Devil Trigger automatically, and that's where we can see V's original white hair. And when you fight as Nightmare, it will also consume your Devil Trigger gauge. And due to Nightmare's slow movement, he pretty much cannot traverse the ground very well, and isn't ideal to use when surrounded by enemies. Another thing is that Nightmare usually fights automatically, but Nightmare can be controlled directly when V climbs on him and pierces him with his cane. And while being on Nightmare, you can also deliver the final blow while riding him. And one example is where V is preparing himself to get into position to hit Goliath with his cane. And that leaves me with one more thing. V's book. As V's book is a collection of poems that he uses in battle as he reads from it. And these poems are from William Blake. As William Blake was an English poet, painter and printmaker. As one way V uses his book is to fill his Devil Trigger gauge, and for that, V has to read his book. And the closer V is to his opponents while reading the book, the faster his Devil Trigger gauge will fill back, as the many sentences that are said by V are quoted directly from William Blake's poems. And it's still unknown whether his book has more meaning than just refilling his Devil Trigger gauge, but I assume it will have more meaning, since William Blake's work is pretty much hidden all over DMC5 in many different shapes and forms.
I have no name. I am but 2 days old.
Overall, the playstyle with V, at first it may seem a bit difficult to keep an eye out for what's going on in the battlefield, since after all, you control V, but also control his demons individually, and when it's about time, you need to switch to V again to strike the final blow with your pain. It's different than when you play with Dante or Nero, where you just focus on what's in front of you and deal with that, while you keep an eye out if you're being attacked by other demons. With V, you have to keep an eye out on both his demons and yourself. Although as mentioned, there is an option to make Griffon and Shadow fight automatically for you, which consumes your Devil Trigger gauge. But according to the developers themselves, once you get used to his playstyle, he's a fairly easy to use character, and I surely believe that, since I assume you need to adapt for yourself a bit with his playstyle. But I imagine that once you're there, you are in full control of what's happening.
Just kidding. You can call me V.
And there you have it, guys. I hope you had a good time and the extra info you needed to know about V's playstyle and how exactly his demons work in gameplay. But the most important thing to me is, what do you guys think of it? Now that you know more about V's tattoos, his demons and his book, do you think he will be a tricky character or pretty easy to use? Well, whatever you think, jump into the comment section below and leave me your thoughts. There is still quite a lot to talk and speculate about the story of DMC5 and V himself, as I want to keep the topics separated, so look forward to those. And while you're here, guys, why don't you like and share this video, as it helps me greatly, and become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And you can also find me on my social media pages, simply at YellowMotion, and now on Instagram as well at YellowMotion Gaming. And that'll do it for me for this one. Once again, guys, thanks a lot for being here and thanks a lot for watching. I see you guys in the next Devil May Cry 5 video. Peace.